Oh my goodness, what a week. What a week. What a week. Hey guys, I'm Pocan Joe, and as always, you're pretty cool for swinging by. We have another haul, and guess what? I got opinions about some of this stuff. Maybe that's why you're here. I don't know. Let's find out. We're going to dive first off headlong into the very first category. We'll do Marvel. Now, I've read all my books, went ahead and got everything out of the way, and some weird stuff came out this week. Like, just reading it, it's weird. It's just some weird stuff. Like, let's talk about the first one for a second, and that's this Ghost Spider #1. Oh my God. Let's do a quick brief of this. Oh yeah, I can't be in the band. Well, that's okay, because I don't have time for it anyway. I got to go to college, because college means good job, and good job means I can take care of my father. Oh, by the way, there are no borders if there's portals, right? I can go to school anywhere I want, right? And oh, by the way, everybody at the college likes me for some objective reason that nobody quite understands. Right, Peter? Right, Gwen. Oh, let's go ahead and fight this giant rat. Literally 3 pages of fighting oversized rat. Yeah. Oh, gotta hurry to get back to school because I need to pick what classes I want. Cuckoo. Are you freaking kidding me? This thing spent more time talking about how to get into a college that she's already accepted to because she's different. I can't stop doing that. Like, every time I think about this, it just happens automatically. I can't stop it. This is a horrible book. 3 pages worth of action, a lot of running into people, and then at the end, we're supposed to buy off on this horrible cliffhanger. Oh my God. Oh, yeah, and a big section of it was her dietary habits. But I forgot to mention that. Sorry, YouTube. BitChute. Sorry, guys. She needs to eat more because her spider suit is made of spiders. So she's running away because she's in a hurry. Yeah, I can't stop doing that with this. And runs into some professor, and the professor gets a hold of one of the spiders, and, something, I don't know, might happen in the next issue. No. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go through this episode without cussing. That's my... Let's go ahead and get that one out of the way, right? Okay, moving on. Well, maybe I shouldn't have said anything about the cussing. So here we go. Marvel Comics presents. Thank you for the stories that nobody really cared or asked for. This is weird. So we got like this hobo Wolverine character. I'm a hobo, but I always got enough. Right? That's crazy. His daughter is super arrogant and just annoying to read. Like, everything that comes out of her mouth or everything in the text, I couldn't help but put that, that snarky, I know everything, but you need to tell me what you know type freaking attitude. They go to hell because, and there's demons there. Second story. Yeah, Spider-Woman, she stopped being sexy. So now she wears this outfit. And by the way, I'm sorry, but nobody's wearing Oakleys anymore. Shame on you. Nobody wears Oakleys anymore. That's safety Oakley glasses. Okay. She's got to take care of a kid and go fight crime. And somebody else as a spoof said that they were Spider-Woman, and everybody tries to kill her because criminals are stupid. And got me on that one. You got me. Moving on, we move down to this White Fox one. You want to know more about White Fox? Okay, here's what you do. You take Black Widow and you give her some magical animal to talk to. White Fox is done. Thank you, Marvel. You ever feel like you buy a comic book and they really didn't buy it? They just stole your money? Do you ever get that feeling? It's weird. Okay, so moving on, we're going to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh, man, this is actually cool. We get a plight on family dynamics in this. This is actually has story and meaning behind it. Let's just pause and let that one sink in. So, how family dynamics work overall. And we get this from Groot and Rocket, right? Because there's that always the Guardians of the Galaxy or family. Yeah, dysfunctional. Yes, not blood related, but nevertheless, they're family. That's what we're constantly being told in this. But Rocket brings up a good point. Everything that he's always done, doesn't that give him the right to die the way that he wants to? Apparently, Groot, being extremely selfish, doesn't seem to think so. So he guilts Rocket Raccoon into putting on a Voltron outfit and going to go fight crime in his weakened, poor state that is killing him slowly. We get a great origin story here about Rocket again and where he came from. I'm not sure if I liked it, but they kind of snuck in the whole soldier with PTSD thing and touching a furry animal helps them. Hey, if that's your thing, cool. I'm not going to say anything bad about that, but it just seems at this point that's kind of cliche-ish at this point, right? Like, I've been to the VA center, and yeah, they got like dogs and stuff, but it's not everybody like cares. It's weird. We get some more of the story of Peter Quill's father and the church, and apparently they're gonna do something with Adam Warlock. But I digress. I absolutely 100% disagree. I don't think it's an Adam Warlock situation. Not just a Adam Warlock situation, but like a lot of Adam Warlock situations, right? And I know what you're going to say, Joey. It's the cocoon. It's the cocoon. But there's another cocoon. We tend to forget about it from our Bronze Age. We forget that her, Her, came from a cocoon as well. So I think we're going to get this beautiful mixture of Adam Warlock, him, and her, right? In that scenario. That would be cool, and it would definitely be a cool homage to old school comics. I have that issue somewhere. I should really plan out these shows. I could have shown you that. That would have been cool. But I hope that that's where they're going with that because that would be a lot more interesting. The church apparently uses people to power them. We saw that with Silver Surfer in the last issue. But apparently they use like a lot of other people as well. Of course, it's the bad thing, right? It's the overall tone of religion being authoritative and everything else just being the means to progress. And that's an interesting take on this. It's not too far off from our past history as humans here on Earth, right? Like, not talking bad about one religion, talking bad about all of them. Like, they've all crazy stuff. All right, so moving on. Absolute Carnage versus Deadpool. This was fun. Spider-Man finally gets enough of Deadpool's BS because Deadpool tries to set up a birthday party. And because he doesn't know Spider-Man's secret identity, therefore he does not know any of his friends or family. So what does he do? He invites the only people that know him, and those, of course, are the villains. And the one villain that brings a gift is, of course, Rhino. And he brings himself a hood with a horn on it because it's a thing, right? Yeah, I thought that was funny. And to some degree, I kind of got the logic in it. That like, right? Like, hey, can we all just be cool for one night? It's my boy's birthday. It's not really his birthday, but we don't know his birthday. Y'all been fighting forever. Let's have some cake and some pizza. Like, I could kind of see that. Like, I don't know if I need help now, but that just makes sense to me. So what ends up happening is Spider-Man, of course, loses. Like, that one thing is the one thing that broke the straw, that broke the camel's back, right? So he's like, I'm not talking to you anymore until you get help, right? So he sends him to Ravenclaw. If you don't know, John Jameson's son, the one that turns into a werewolf, he was a psychiatrist or some sort of therapy worker there. So finally he gives up. He goes in there to go get mental help, even though he's not really sure what they're going to do for him, right? Because it's Deadpool. And then what we find out is the Carnage cult, that's what we'll call it for right now, kind of took over the hospital, killed all the living people in there, and they're bantering back and forth about their plans, right? And Deadpool seems to think that this is some kind of immersion therapy, which wouldn't have been too far off, actually, from the actual truth. Interesting. But moving forward, he finds out that this is not, and all the Carnages tried to kill him. Well, Deadpool didn't bring any of his weapons because it's a mental health facility. Thank you for that. But he gets the bright idea. Who else but Deadpool would think of using 2 microwaves, some metal, and a little bit of fire? And he escapes. And of course, the main Carnage in this one gets a little upset. And he's like, wait a second. He is literally the unicorn. Remember, Deadpool's one of the only people that has had up to 4 symbiotes in him at the same time. And the codices that he has in his spine, which is what they're all hunting down, he's the jackpot right now. So moving on to that should be an interesting read. You know, I try not to speculate on books. I don't think that's going to go anywhere in a speculative market. But just as far as a good read goes, just sit down and get a little humor, a little horror, playing off of each other. I thought they did a great job in that. I would definitely pick that up if you're into actual reading of comic books. Next, and this one's going to surprise a lot of people, actually. House of X. No, I'm not calling it 10, and you can't make me. I'm not doing that. That's not a 10. That's an X, and I'm not Roman, so yeah. First off, how about that cover right there, right? Hot. I actually liked this one. This one seemed more like a comprised story. Like it had a beginning, a middle, and an end, even though those kind of shifted around a little bit. We finally find out that our McTaggart lady is in the future. Why? I'm not trying to figure it out. It's a comic book at this point. I was just happy with the story. She's in here. She's hanging out. We have our new mutants. We actually have a mutant name. It's XORN. How do you say that? I don't know. I'm going to say Zeron. X, oh, you could go with X. Go X on, no, not X Warren. Well, however you pronounce it, I really like this character. He mentions the fact that he's a nihilist in it, and then he acts like a nihilist. Like, it was awesome. This dude was ready to die at any given moment. And even when his mask, because when you take off his mask, he's the singularity. Singularity supposedly, by theory, create black holes and wipe everything about it. It's a giant explosion. He's actually smiling when she takes off the mask, right? When our heroine takes off the mask. We get plays of religion in this. A lot of religious tones in the beginning of it. The transformation, the dichotomy of becoming 2 then 1, all right? Like, literally, they shot a laser in a baby's face to make it a mutant. It's kind of morbid. But I dug it. And then of course, all this is a distraction. So Wolverine and his team can get into the facility, the data facility, and find out when Nimrod came online. And then what they do is they take that knowledge. They're going to make sure that McTaggart gets that knowledge into her head. So and then Wolverine kills her. Because she's going to reincarnate and it's going to start the timeline over again. And that way she has that knowledge in the next life. Have I lost you yet? The funny thing is, that's not even the worst. Well, actually, it wasn't bad at all. It was actually a good formulated story, and it actually made sense. And the way that it was projected to us, I absolutely love it, because you had sacrifice in this. You had limits. You had destructive powers. You had everything you like in a comic book. And that was absolutely amazing. Lessons can be learned. Sorry. That's a cheap stab. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry at all. Okay, moving on. We're going to go right into, what are we going into? Let's hit up our indies this week. Oh, some good stuff in indies happened this week. So they finally corrected the malfunction, and the real Goon number 4 came out. If you don't know, the one that came out last week was actually issue 5. Right? This is issue 4, so you can kind of see, and you catch that at the end of the book. But other than that, this was a very easy read. We get Greedy Gut, and the Hobos are back. And I liked this. This was very interesting, because you had a great story in the beginning about the Downtrodden, right? And the deal is, the guy hears a motivating speech from a rich person. It says, you've heard the analogy. You can feed a man, or give a man a fish, feed him a day. Teach him to fish, he'll eat forever. So then this guy gets this idea, this hobo, he's like, well, doggone it, I'm going to go be a fisherman. So he goes on the boat. Fisherman, or the captain of the boat, says, do you have any experience? Do you have any training? Guy says, no, but I'm a hard worker and I'm willing to learn. He goes, sorry, this is not a school. This is work. So he's like, okay, I'll go get an education. So he goes to the school. He's like, hey, I think it actually said something like School of Fishery or something like that. It was weird. they go there, and of course, the dean of the college or whatever goes, "Yep, that will be $10,000 to learn to be a fisherman." And he's like, "I don't have $10,000. I need $10,000. I can get the job, so I can pay." Yep, nope, get out. Okay, so now he can't do that. So what does he do? He's like, "Okay, I'll just get a fishing pole and I'll teach myself to fish." So he goes back to the gentleman that's out there, and he's still out there talking, giving his speech. And it just so happens he owns a place that sells fishing poles. So he holds up this beautiful fishing pole. And yeah, this is where things get weird. The guy's like, "Hey, I don't have a dime in my pocket, but if you let me use that fishing pole to get some fish to sell, I can give you the $10 for the fishing pole." And then the guy immediately starts accusing him. He was like, "Oh, this is the problem, always wanting a handout," and yada, yada. And the crowd gets rebelled up and beats this poor bum almost to death. With no other answers, they go to the hobo jungle, which is a swamp, and they meet Greedy Gut. And the poem in there is just beautiful. I'm not sure if it's a poem or a lyric. I guess it depends on how you read it. And that becomes the main emphasis in the story. Again, Goon and his little sidekick, who I just love it. Whenever he talks, he sounds like this to me. Yeah, on the bee's knees. It was just a great analogy of just that circle of despair that's often being placated on in a lot of speech. You know, people need help. If they follow the system never really works, yada, 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 back and forth, back and forth. If it's true or not, that is up for you to decide. I don't know if it is or isn't. I'm rich, and I do what I want. And I don't sell fishing poles. So, moving on. Next, Middle West, my pick of the week. So why is Middle West my pick of the week? It's kind of, I don't know how to describe this. It's an interesting concept, right? So if you've been reading Middle West, you know we have Abel. Abel's father is a mean jerk, and what we find out is Grandpa's also a mean jerk as well. Now the question now becomes, is it a thing of attitude, or is it because of this thing that's inside of them that we don't quite know what it is? And it was kind of interesting to watch the two play off each other, because even the grandfather said at one time, Abel's father was like Abel, right? He was kind of didn't want to deal with it. He thought he could be better, he could rise above all that. But then again, it asks the question versus nature or nurture, right? Is this something that's naturally part of this family line, or is it because it's all they've ever seen? That's what they become, is these storms. I think that's probably the coolest question about this book overall. I'm very excited to get some more of this. And we also find out that Abel actually does have some good memories of his father. We've been kind of seeing this. So that's been very interesting. So I'd like to see more of this. Plus, that cover right there speaks volumes to the story overall. I really like that. Bad reception. This kind of placates off of a thing that you hear a lot today. You know, you need to unplug. Get off them cell phones. Get off them computers. And, you know, all it does is make a worse you. Look at, you know, Twitter and Facebook and the comments that people leave. They actually reference that in here. And it's crap. Like, oh, sorry. I refuse to believe that technology is what makes us more evil. Well, not evil, but just jerks, right? Because we can hide behind a screen and say words on Twitter. Well, even in person, we say bad things about people behind their backs, right? So, really, what's the difference? So, I don't really buy that aspect of it. I also don't buy this aspect that's constantly being pushed in here, that their online data and persona online is so important. Now, is it important? Yes, it's baseline branding and marketing. But that's just it. It's baseline branded or marketing. Now, are there exceptions to the rules? There's always exceptions to the rules. There's always an outlier. But in most cases, in the huddle of life, well, employers can check your personal pages right now. So put it on private. Put it on private. Like, I don't get it. But if you don't know, this is basically a story. A high-profile company or couple. They act like a company. They legitimately do. The high-profile couple have decided that their wedding of the century is going to be in a place where there's no signal, right? And what we're being led to believe is that there's wherever this place is, that there's somebody there that's kind of menacing, right? So he haunts or eating, whatever the case may be. Um, I thought this was stupid. I thought it overplayed its role in technology, that it's that important, because I really don't think it is. I did like the art in it, and I loved the dialogue in it. The dialogue in it, it sounds like something people would really say, especially like if I see some of my friends from the 90s now, we may say some 90s cliche type things because that's what we said in the 90s. And they kind of do that in here. And I thought I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Other than that, I don't know. I don't get the premise of the book. I think it's a little long-winded for the premise. And definitely the first 3 pages of it are a radio show, and you don't see anything but like a red strip down the middle. And then it turns out to be a body. I don't know. I can't buy it that well. Next, Faithless. If you don't know, this is basically pornography. Just really bad pornography with ugly people. I'll wait till you stop laughing at that, because it's actually what happens in this book. I would show you the cover, but we all know why that's there. I would show you the inside. But we all know why that's there. So what's going on in this? Well, apparently, because they're artists. Yeah, they're artists. Because they're artists, their lives have to be like so different. And, sex, drugs, rock and roll, man. It's a stupid story. It's fucking almost. Almost. Yeah. It didn't cross my eyes, but it's pretty stupid. The whole story is basically artist girl is bisexual, so she finds a girl to bang. They bang a lot, like a lot, right? And then artist girl, or I'm sorry, girlfriend goes away. Artisan girl screws dad of girlfriend, right? And seeing the pain on her face. And then there's a lady, I'm going to be honest with you, if you don't speak Spanish or can read Spanish, it's not going to be that interesting, because there's a whole thing in there where a homeless woman that's obviously a witch and who's super knowledgeable of the mystical realms, but she's a homeless lady, is doing some superpower BS, and it's all in Spanish. So yeah, if you don't bring your English to or Spanish to English translation book, it's about the best I got you. I tell you. All right, moving on. Oh, let's talk about something good. Pretty violent. It's pretty violent. Like, it's kind of bad. There is blood, guts, and foul language all over this cartoon style story. And basically, we're dealing with somebody wanting to change their own agency. Not to use big words, but agency just means yourself, right? Well, your image of yourself would be the better term of it. Like, I always say, we're all heroes of our own story, right? So that's your agency. In this case, she actually comes from a family or a group of villains. We don't know if it's family. We make the assumption it is, but a group of villains. And she wants to be the good superhero, and everything she does just turns to mess. And everybody blames her for it, but technically none of it's really her fault, but she's the easy one to blame. Yada, yada, yada. That's pretty much the premise of the story. But the art, the dialogue, and yes, even the foul language in it, it's all just a fun read. I think I might have laughed out loud a couple of times. I LOL'd out loud. That just means I said LOL out loud. No, it was good. I enjoyed it. It's a good first issue. I really saw what the hype was about with this thing, and that B cover there, oh, it pretty much sums up the inside of it. Oh, just elbows and ass all over the place. Is that a cuss word? I think I failed. We'll try it the next episode. All right, last stop on the red line. This is getting weird. I'm kind of having trouble following it. This is going to be a dump. I'll get one more issue because I am curious what the monster is. But last stop on the red line basically takes place in Boston, and we have Yosef who can change his reality. By the way, this takes place in the future. I just found that out in this issue. Like, it didn't make sense before. Um, can kind of sort of change reality to some degree if he uses drugs and alcohol. And he's a hobo, but there's something magical and mysterious about him. And the vampire and werewolf may not really be vampires and werewolves because Yosef might have created the reality. Yeah, you see where I'm going with this? It's hard. But the truth is, at the end of the day, there's something killing people in a subway, and it's using a particular form. We think we know who it is. Will there be a twist? Probably not. It seems pretty solid. Next, weirdest book of the month. I'm going to go ahead and say the month, unless something really weird's coming out next week. I don't think so. Strayed. That's a cat, in case you didn't know. So I want you to take you to a place in the future, and humanity's got to find other places to live. All right, let's go there. So what do we need to do? Well, there's a crazy cat lady who develops a communication device for a cat so she could talk to her cat. Because crazy cat ladies talk to their cats. Her and the cat have a relationship as best, I guess, any animal and person can have. And we find out that the cat can actually astro project itself throughout the cosmos. Fast. So the military, of course, are going to use this to their advantage. So what they do is they make the lady tell the cat to go out into the cosmos and find planets that they can inhabit. So that you get the scene where the cat's like making these very intelligent decisions, like there's a planet full of robots and not really life, and way too smart, and way this and way that, and it's figuring all this out. It's a cat. Astro plays its ass back. I've already cussed. Might as well just keep on going. And tells them where the coordinates are, because how would the cat know the coordinates? I don't know. Like, don't make me think too much about this. I don't think we're supposed to. Crazy cat lady does not like the relationship with her and her cat and the military, and they want out of this deal. In the meantime, the evil military is going to colonize this planet to expand human influence throughout the universe and to make sure that humanity's race is always infinite, meaning always existing. Lady doesn't like this because, some aliens are being colonized, I guess was the point of it, in the most horrific ways. I did like the general basically tell the lady how the military operates. He goes, well, look, yeah, you can go anytime you want, but you can't stay. And whether it's you or not, this is going to happen. So, yeah. You want to hang out? You want to go? Like, you're not getting your cat back. It's basically the gist of their conversation. I've actually known some first sergeants like that, so that was kind of enjoyable. And then, of course, she has to make the deal with the devil type scenario. I'm not picking up anymore. Like, I know some of you people out there are cat people, and that's cool. I don't care if it was a cat or a dog. The whole premise of the story is kind of sort of ridiculous, and I really don't like it. I can't quite wrap my head around it. And you're talking to the guy that loves characters like Detective Chimp, Gleek. I like the animal sidekicks, Ace, and all these animals. Like, that's my thing. I'm cool with that. But this cat is just, the whole thing is just, I don't know. I'm sure there's some underlying message there about, military and colonization, and I'm pretty sure they're going that route with it, but we don't know the circumstances that pushed them to make that. So that wasn't explained to us. So I guess the assumption is they're just bad, evil people. Good enough for me. Don't matter. Blasting it anyway. Oh, speaking of blasted, don't forget about Blaster Stash It, Sunday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. That myself and some of the Blaster Stasher crew, we're going to run through these books again. Maybe we'll get into an argument. Maybe we reviewed something. Maybe we were a little harsh on it. But we plan on diving a little deeper into some and a lot of these books. So definitely stop on by, join us in the chat, and let us know what you think about these books. thank you. Moving on to DC. Well, I doubled my DC pull this week. Yeah, I got 4 books. 2 of them really don't care about. Let's find out which ones. First one, Superman pal Jimmy Olsen. So we got the continuation of 3 previous stories. The first one is about Jimmy Olsen's great whatever pioneer times grandfather, right? And apparently the Luthers tried to kill him, threw him off a rock, and apparently he survived the fall and he found gold, and that ended that story. So we got nothing out of that one. That was, yeah, that's what happens when you do a 2-page story. The next one is Jimmy Olsen's big brother and something about the lion statue that he destroyed in the last one, and that was stupid too. And of course, the last one is Jimmy Olsen in Gotham. We still kind of sort of don't know why they're hinting at some things, but they're not really telling us. And he gives Lois Lane a call, and she comes rushing to him. Again, nothing. Nothing at all. That book just existed. Sorry. Next is Black Mask. You're the villain. Now, I have to confess, right? I'm not a big fan of the Batwoman character. I never had, whether gay, whether straight, whatever the case is. I just never really thought the character should really exist. So I don't really know much about Black Mask as a villain. I'm going to tell you right now, this is a good villain. Like, legitimately, I wish you would take him, right, and put him in here. That doing something. I don't care what. I liked his origin story, even how he kind of knew Bruce Wayne. He grew up around an abusive family. They were always focused on looks because they're in the cosmetic industry. And he kind of had this droopy eye thing. It was kind of weird. Apex Luthor makes him a deal, wants him to tell him what real power is, kind of tells him how to dress up like other people and take over corporations. So they do that. Batgirl swoops in with her lover, and her kick some butt. But I'm going to be honest, the villain made this story. Honestly, it made it so interesting and it was so captivating about somebody being focused on their looks to the point where they even suffered body dysmorphia and having to hide their face with this black mask or taking on the mask of other people and other personalities. That even related to the beginning of the story where he was constantly thinking about Bruce Wayne's perfect smile as a child, his perfect hair and his perfect skin tone. And then just to have that kind of full circle around where I can put on other people's faces. 1, super creepy. 2, oh my God, what a great concept of a villain. Yeah, you can sit there and say, oh, it's basically the chameleon. It's basically like 1,000 other villains. I don't know. There's just something genuinely dark about this one that I think I absolutely enjoyed. Let me sit up like a man. I'm crouching. All right, next. Let's talk about a story. Another one that I liked. I know it's written by King, and I actually liked it. I enjoyed this. This was good. Spoiler alert. I don't even know why I should say that on a Friday. Alfred's dead. Well, we're being led to believe he's dead. We'll put it that way. He's like alive in like all 20 other Batman comic books. So whatever. If you remember in the last issue, Bane has taken over Gotham. And he has Gotham Girl kind of like as his Robin. And I don't like the Gotham Girl persona in this. It's way too yakety yak. And I think that's supposed to be like some quirky, niche, cute thing. But it's just annoying. It really is. But anyway, so they told the entire Bat family that if anybody from the Bat family comes in here, we're going to kill Alfred. Well, apparently Damian, being young, naive, and arrogant, he's like, whatever, I'm going to do what I want. I'm gangster. So he goes rolling up into Gotham. Gotham Girl tries to stop him. He gets a wand because he works some deal with the devil, blah, 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 yada, 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 sell his soul, yada, yada, yada. Everybody's been blowing past that point. There's an interesting point to this. the spell he actually recites is backwards. Who else do we know that says words backwards when they're casting a spell? I think something's going to come out of that in the future. I'm calling it right here on Pocan Joe's channel. First one, that's going to become something in either the next story arc or soon to come. Unless, well, King's coming off the writing, so I don't know. You know what? Screw it. I'll say it anyway. So that's going to become something. But anyway, so he does some hocus pocus magic because superpowered beings are still susceptible to magic. This puts Gotham Girl out of commission. So now what is he going to do? He's going to go up against the other dimensional Thomas Wayne. Now, I get it. All my friends of Damien out there, I get it, right? But there's no way you're going to tell me that Damian Wayne is going to beat a full-grown Batman. Like he did. He beat the hell out of that kid. Like he was, I would even say he was kind of holding back a little bit. So he captures him. Bane's not hearing it. Thomas Wayne is trying to convince him not to do it in front of the kid. Bane ain't hearing it. Snap, crackle, popped his way to victory. There goes Alfred. He's gone. And this visibly does something to Damon. So I think we're about to see one of those maturing moments of a superhero, which I think would be very interesting. Very similar to what we saw with Grayson when he took on his new mantle. Same thing we saw with the Red Hood when we saw him take on his new mantle. This kind of darker character. There was always a leveraging point to that. I think we're going to see that moving forward with Damian as well, to know that he is actually the cause of that. Because, again, he thought he knew better. He got caught. You got caught, son. All right, moving on. Last but not least, Superman Year 1. Man, you all need to call me before you do stuff like this. Because first off, this is a great story. Great story. The origin story to begin with, tied into this, great story. Not a Superman story, though. And I know you want to try different things with a character, but follow me for a second. And I know we're getting to that 40-minute mark, but just follow me for a second. Let's pretend that instead of Kansas, our story takes place in Colorado. Interesting. Okay. On a cattle farm. And superhero being either somehow or another comes to existence, whether it's through a chemical spill, whatever trope that you want, an alien ship, whatever. You can steal that idea if you like. It lands, and they grow this kid up into something like from the show From the Ranch. Remember that? The Ranch? Yeah, with, that guy. They raise this kid to be humble, to not show off, and to kind of follow the cowboy life, or whatever the hell that means, or farmer life, right? Same values being instilled in him as in this story, right? Then he joins the Navy, and he learns that he's objectively different than everybody else. It's like in the last issue. And the training's not that hard, even though I don't know how he went through Navy basic training, and they were like, oh, hey, here's a pass to SEAL school. That's not how that works. But, hey, it's good for comic book life, right? And the whole mermaid thing that happened in here, fine, keep it all. But you had a great opportunity to give us a new superhero. Like, legitimately. Like, that would have been cool. Get some military values in him. He can run off to Atlantis where there's no Aquaman. That was weird, which I'm kind of happy at. I don't like the fish whisperer. And you could have done a whole thing from that. Just, boom, brand new superhero. Everybody could have been tied into him. Instead, you tried to retcon Superman's story that's been around since, like, 1930s? Like, late 1930s? Really? So, yeah, that happened. Yeah, and in case you don't know, in this episode, the big thing that happened is Superman becomes a SEAL. And he goes on a mission while he's in training. And apparently shoots people. Good story. So every time that his name would come up or his whatever case would show up that would make him Superman, I just mentally changed it in my head into some other name that I would just randomly make up at that point. So guys, that's my haul and my quick synopsis of everything that I have read this week. Don't forget on Blaster or Stash at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sunday Eastern Standard Time. We'll be right back here talking about these books with our panels. Join us in the conversation. Join us in the chat. Let us know what you think. What are some of the things that you're getting from some of these books, if anything at all? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Well, whatever. We want to talk to you. Speaking of talking to you, going to be in Baltimore for the Baltimore Comic Con coming in October. Room has been booked. Check. Money has been saved. Check. Got my best bud, Spectacular Spider Grandpa. Check. I'm ready to rock. We can get this done. We can leave next month. It will be awesome. And also, I've got some Instagram messages. Am I going to be doing any more auctions? My good friends over at People's Auction House, my People's Online Auction House, have given me some space on their online platform. So I'll be pushing some comic books out there. Like I said, I review a lot of comic books, and I'm not keeping it all. And I even end up with duplicates. So we'll probably throw them down to the auction level. We start everything off at $1 to $3. Like everything. And we got everything from single issues to lots in there. Whatever the case may be, maybe there's a variant you didn't get. Maybe you just need some filler issues. Maybe you're just now getting into the collection and you're just trying to build it up a little bit. Lots of good stuff in there. Definitely, as soon as that comes out, we'll put the link in the next description to make sure all of you can get to that. Other than that, I don't have anything else, guys. Thanks for hanging out this long. I know this was a long one. It was a lot of books. I'm glad we had some fun. Y'all be cool with one another. If nobody's complimented you today, you're doing great. I love you. So take it easy. Bye.